Levels, Nick. The
Levels. The second one almost filled it out. The first one did fill it out. Things are not going too high. Should be good.
Should be good. Okay.
Oh, before we start, my
Yeah.
sister listened to some of these. My sister had some other topic that I was supposed to research for you for our thing. But she really liked your shredded wheat thing. She thought it was hilarious. And she's in marketing, so she thought it was funny in that way.
Nice.
Yeah.
We have lots of ridiculous marketing things, so hopefully we can have another one. I don't think I have. Nope, none this week, but someday we will.
Something.
Yeah. So before we start, I because because of us having to move recording times earlier this time instead of later, which is a change. So
It's good. I win.
in all honesty, Nick, I think today was a little bit of a you blinked first sort of scenario because it's my son's birthday and I was like, man, I don't really want to think it all night about his like the podcast when I have my son's birthday and obviously he would have been well asleep by the time we recorded, but that's what I normally do, show prep and such. So I was like, actually that sounds pretty nice not to worry about it. So
Good.
Worked out.
Happy birthday to Averin. That's awesome. I'm glad it works.
And now we should start the show. Okay. Welcome to the Year We Started a Podcast. It's a podcast born phoenix-like from the ashes of last year's podcast. I am your co-host, Jeff. That kind of stuttered there a little bit.
I am your other co-host, Nick. I always stutter a little bit.
That's fair. Man, it's so weird. I've, because of the different recording spaces that I've switched just now, I didn't even really talk about it in the intro. I wanted to talk about it just a little bit. We're going to talk about that for just a second. Anyway, we should finish this first. This is our podcast. We're a couple friends half a continent apart that would like to come together and talk about some of the things that are fun and interesting to us. Nick, I was going to move recording spaces, and do you want to take a guess where I had moved my recording space to temporarily?
The little room in your basement.
Nope, it's not right. I'm moved. Wrong. It's okay. I would have been weirded out a little bit if you would have guessed. No, but Nick, I moved my room to our closet, which has lots of clothes, and the acoustics in that room are phenomenal. And if it wouldn't have got honestly, if it didn't get 70,000 degrees when it has a human inside of it for more than 20 minutes, I would totally record in that room. It's everything was so nice, but it was very, very hot and a little bit claustrophobic. But yeah. Anyways, back in the regular office recording today with slightly.
It's a bummer that is kind of a weird space to be in. That's a weird energy to be in.
it is a weird energy for sure. The way that I was situated, I wasn't even looking directly at my laptop. I was just staring at my wife's clothes. So probably a little weird. Yeah.
Don't know how that's weird at all.
But now I'm just back to staring at show notes, Nick. This is our 45th episode.
Yes.
And I just had a dumb thought when I was walking back downstairs, carrying my microphone and screwing it back in. That means if we were to record an episode every day for a week, we would be at 1 year's worth of episodes.
Yeah,
and we could just take the next 7 weeks off. I think that
Jeff,
sounds pretty
good.
You're
need to do all the topics, but I'm down. You've convinced me.
No, I was just wondering, what would you have to move in your life in order to make that happen? Because for me, that would be quite impossible.
That's a good question.
If you had to, how much money would you have to make from this podcast to justify doing such a thing?
Not that much. Not that much.
Okay.
Idiots, honestly. Give me a couple grand or even $1 grand, and I'll be like, hey, Jed, this week this is recording week.
I mean, I don't know. I could scrounge around the Patreon bucks. We'll see what I can find.
Okay.
Nick, I want to know your two topics because I don't know exactly how long mine will, but I want to make sure we have time for it. But I definitely want to hear about this first one because it is near and dear to my heart. Go ahead.
It's the good old one. It's the this week I hurt myself. I wasn't gonna do it this week. I hurt myself because I always hurt myself. That's okay. So this week I hurt myself, and I'm not sure if it's me starting to get into that old man territory or what?
How many? When Nick? I can never remember. When's your birthday?
October 4th.
And and how old will you be then, Nick?
I'll be 30, dude.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I'm like knocking on the damn door.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm coming into it strong. Let me tell you, I'm coming into it strong. Okay. Because for the last like week and a half, I have had a swollen ankle that is like super sensitive and tender when walking or like running or anything like that. And I've played basketball my whole life, and that's like a very common basketball injury of like rolling an ankle, and that's what happens. Okay. So the thing is, I have no idea where this came from. I do not know why my ankle is swollen like I rolled it. I do not recall rolling it. I have not played basketball in the last week and a half. But yeah, I have tried icing it twice, and it seems to like help for like 30 minutes, an hour, and then it just goes back up. But it's like not bad enough to warrant me going to like the hospital or anything like that. You know, it's just like annoying. I hate that.
Have you Googled? I have ankle pain and I have no idea where I got it, because I'm sure like the internet like has all kinds of like.
One, they're just going to tell me it's cancer.
Yeah, exactly where I was going with that.
Tell me I have ankle cancer. Secondly, that is way too much work. Honestly, it's been so benign and small that it's like not worth it. It's just like, why are you like this, ankle? What happened to you? Who did this?
I'll tell you, I actually have kind of an interesting... so maybe this is just confirmation of your thoughts about the fact that you're just getting a little bit older now. But I had some foot pain while running and wasn't able to run for a while, so I just had to walk like a bum. And then I decided one day to randomly try running barefoot on the treadmill, and that I could actually do without pain. I was like, frick, yeah, that sounds great.
Nice.
Except for the part where like I had blisters on my toes, which is not as good. Yep. And then, so I looked up barefoot running shoes, and so I got some barefoot running shoes, and I could run in those like super good. And I mentioned that to a couple people that I know that are runners, and they're like, yo, you're like supposed to ease into those just so you know, like be a little bit careful, you might hurt yourself. And I don't know why exactly, but both my calves seem to have strains right now. Not sure if that's related or not.
I wonder if you like use different muscles because of like how like I don't even know, dude. That's weird.
Yeah, I feel like mine might be a little bit more figure-outable than yours.
That's fair. My theory is that like while riding or something, I probably just like stepped funny off the bike or something like that, or jumped funny off of something, and just that's my running theory.
That seems likely.
Or, you know, I could have just like stepped a little bit funny and just brushed it off, but I don't know. Who knows? But the reason that I bring this one up is that is not just that I have a swollen ankle that's like that has no discernible source. This morning I woke up and my neck and shoulder are like super tight and super whatever, and also I have no reason for this. I didn't even do anything yesterday. I haven't done weights for my shoulders in far too long. I haven't done anything that has like strained or used my shoulders as far as I know. I carry my dog up his stairs because he's an old fart, but he's a little fart. He's like, I don't know, dude. I don't understand. Why does my neck hurt? And
you're gonna start clocking some of these, buddy. I'm so sorry to tell you.
It's no good. Oh no.
Is there
I'm supposed to have another month. I'm supposed to have one more month. Just asking for one more month.
Yeah, the world's a cruel place. What is there? Are there other non-physical things that you feel like you notice yourself being slightly less attached to your young 20-year-old self?
I don't know. Yes, I can't find myself caring about video games. I have some friends who are like into anime, and like I haven't been able to watch an anime for years without checking out and not caring. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Video games, anime, just phased out, and that's fine. That's good. Those are good things to drop, honestly.
Yeah.
Just about that.
I feel like for me, it's more like I kind of joke about social anxiety, stupid stuff on here, but I do feel like I'm a little bit less, like I care a little bit less about what people think to some degree. I feel like that's a nice thing. It's nice to not care quite so much.
That totally is. I wonder sometimes if that's just like, if the way that I care less, because I do too, and Jen always tells me, oh, yeah, you're going to stop caring about what people think. I still care about what people think. I just, I feel like I'm better in the social circles I have to walk through now. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Nick, you have been an old man your entire life, Mr. No Social Media. I feel like...
I mean, true.
You are, yeah, I don't know. I worried about, like, the most ridiculous things about what people thought of me, and
same here.
Like, yeah, but like the thought of like not getting on Facebook, like that thought would have given like 15-year-old me so much anxiety for being such a weirdo. And here you are, don't even like consider it as an option. Like, just like, screw you guys and your stupid social media.
Well,
I'm from 10 years in the future where I know it's terrible.
You know how everyone talks about like someone having an old soul, and what they mean is that they're like, quiet and reserved and like empathetic and stuff. I feel like I have an old soul, but like I have like an old angry man yelling at kids on his lawn soul. Like, I was like, what are you doing on social media? Isn't it a waste of time? You guys are dumb. And everyone's like, Nick, go back to freaking geometry class. Like, what are you talking about, dude?
Yeah, I agree with that assessment of yourself.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
I have a psychology degree. I know what I'm talking about. Okay.
You do? That's bad. Oh, God.
Nick, talk about the next topic that I have literally no idea. Or if I do know, I don't know from the 4 letters you've typed here.
Okay, I can't like go into this one hard because I am underqualified to talk about this, although you actually might be qualified to talk about this. Jeff, have you heard of Axie Infinity?
You've triggered now words that make me feel like you can
Google it. Please Google it, please. Axie Infinity is a cryptocurrency game that uses NFTs as...
No, I have no idea what this is, but I'm very intrigued now.
Okay, so it's a video game where you
my gosh, this is going to be the future. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have so many opinions about this. Okay, keep going.
Jeff, okay, so the game is kind of sort of Pokemon-esque. They market it a lot as like being Pokemon-esque, using little monsters called Axies, okay? The Axies are all NFTs. And you have you can either buy or breed Axies, and they all sell for actual currency. And the monsters are NFTs. This means that Axie you create through the game's breeding mechanics will be by being minted as an NFT, a unique and original digital object. We've talked a little bit about NFTs. I know the cursory amount that a relatively tech literate person should know. And you can earn more crypto through other resources in the game. Some of these are things that will be used later, and the game is run on the Ethereum blockchain, and its market is running through the Ethereum blockchain. Jeff, this game is freaking huge. This game had like over $1 billion in revenue in August.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Whoa!
Yeah.
All right, I'm going back to Googling this game. I thought it was like a thing that like is kind of more conceptual, less $1 billion revenue-y.
Right, correct. And the developers get like a 4.25% share of all of the transactions, which means that this little freaking game development studio made like freaking, what is that? 42 million in freaking in August? Jeff, 42 million in a month for a freaking little game developer is pretty damn good, Jeff. And they had, at some point in time, I think it's actually been passed. I was Googling a whole bunch of stuff, and there's like a lot of articles from all different kinds of times that aren't updated, which is slightly frustrating. But they had the biggest NFT sale ever at some point in time of like land inside of the game, which I don't know how the housing or land thing works. I don't know if it like helps breeding or what. But it sold for over $1 million.
Oh my gosh! I don't like. I keep reading. Okay, I'm sorry. I need to understand a little bit more about this. So, I kind of reading the same like 3 sentences, which are the same 3 sentences you kind of shared. I know. They generate profits through buying, breeding, and selling digital pets.
Yes.
Like, what is that? Like, is there more gameplay than that? Like, do you do
like
anything?
There is battling. It didn't look in depth at all. But like you have you can breed any I think it's any 2 Axii you can breed, and they will produce a completely unique and original offspring that you then have to raise up. And I don't really understand when or why they have value, or if they have to reach a certain like level to be tradable or what. But they can also battle, and like battling levels them up and stuff. And I don't really understand like all the stuff I found online. I didn't want to do a deep dive on it because I am not like a crypto expert by any means. I like, broadly understand what blockchain, like, I have like that super entry level understanding of what broad blockchain is. And anyways, so I don't really understand, like, are higher levels, do they have more value? And to create to start breeding something, I do think that you have to earn tokens that you can then, like, turn into, or, like, use as currency to breed. I don't really fully understand that either. But I've seen people, or I've seen some things, censuses say that you have to have a certain amount of tokens to breed. I'm not positive if that's accurate or if I'm just like misinterpreting something, but yeah.
Oh my gosh, what a fitting thing to come after we talk about how we're getting so old, to talk about this thing that I have no concept of how this is so huge.
It's really huge. And you don't have to play to invest in it at all. It's like an option, and they market it as a pay to earn. Play to earn. Wow, I don't know why I said pay to earn. Play to earn. And so like it can have a huge market value even without people playing. Freaking Mark Cuban invested in it. I have a feeling that Mark Cuban is not playing this game in his free time.
Who's to say? He's a weird dude.
It's true. But let me tell you one thing I really, really wanted to like share with you. Okay, this is part of the reason I wanted to bring this up entirely. And the reason I brought it up is that my neighbor is really, really interested in this and thinks that I will have big insights on it. Christopher, I appreciate you. Shouts, you're a great guy and everything. I do not have great insights. I just think this is hilarious. Jeff, can you click on this link for me?
I've clicked this link.
Yeah, so Jeff, these are the most expensive Axii out there. You see that they're pretty cute. Different colors. They're very similar.
Still loading, but I'll take your word for it, or we can just sit here quietly.
Okay, well, you just wait for it to load while I tell you. Jeff, so you can like sell these NFTs to each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jeff, I want you to, when you get this loaded, I want you to tell me if you think that the most expensive token is worth the money that it is. Just look at it and tell me if you think it's worth it.
Oh, man, I sure would love to play in this game. Take a screenshot and put it in Discord.
Okay, here.
I can't get this thing to load for me.
It was giving me issues, too. I'm sorry.
It knows I'm from Kansas. It knows better. We don't need any part of this crazy Silicon Valley stuff.
Here you go, Jeff. Here's the 10 most expensive tokens out there.
All right. I'm here.
They were sold for this much, I should say.
Yeah, and like because of how NFT works, like you can see the last time, like that's what somebody paid for. So like then somebody else would presumably sell it for more potentially. Yep. Yeah. So this one named
a Pokemon that was sold for $131,000. Jeff, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I feel like that's real grounded in reality and tied to value that it can provide. So yeah, that seems right. No, and like, yes, there is a drop off, but like you're talking about a dozen of these little cute fellas that have sold for like over $1 million collectively or something.
Even the 10th most expensive one is still well over 5 figures. You know what I mean? Like into 5 figures. I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to take from that. Like, what in the world?
This is really crazy. I guess like according to random internet articles, like the average player can earn something around $1,500 a month for people that are that do this like full time, which obviously is not a ton, but like for playing a game to be an average, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and what I will say is, that sounds very promising. I know it's huge in the Philippines, probably for a similar reason, just as a way to like try to make as much money as you can in like your free time or something. But I don't know why that's exclusive to the Philippines. I said it out loud, and I was like, wait a second. Everybody should be trying to make more money in their free time. But more importantly, the value of the crypto that they're trading is has kind of fluctuated a lot, but it's also skyrocketed at times. So like it went up a huge amount. I like read an article from like May or something like that. And they were saying how it started to come back down to earth and it's dropped 40% this month or something like that. And then I look, and the next article I read is from August, and the valuation is up like $50 or something, which is insane. Like it went from like $16 to $71 or something like that. And so point being, it's kind of up and down and all over. And, there's always the risk of getting in, buying high and but that's why I don't want to like go into it, because I don't know anything about this kind of things, market trends. So I do not want to comment on like whether or not it's actually a good advice, but it's freaking hilarious and weird, and we live in a weird time.
Yeah, this is sort of stuff like sometimes I think about like if I could be transported back to 1990 whatever, and been asked like what kind of weird ways will the internet change things, and like obviously you wouldn't have thought near like any of the things that exist today. Right. And then like when you talk about like what's digital currency and blockchain going to look like and change the landscape of things in like the next 10, 20 years. And it's like, this is the sort of stuff that makes you realize like, it's going to be even wilder than this. And this is wild. Like I do not
exactly
understand.
Right. This is like incomprehensible from like 10 years ago, in my opinion. And that's saying, so they like, everything about this would have been incomprehensible in 1990. And 1990 is not that long ago.
No.
But you'd be like, okay, so there's this thing that's going to come out called Pokemon, okay? Pokemon is like this thing where you have pretend digital, like, like cartoon, like animals, but they're your friends, and you like raise them. And, like on a like kind of like Tetris, but like instead of Tetris, you're raising digital animals, okay? But then 20 years after that, we're going to get a way to gamify it and make money. Don't worry.
Yeah, man. Yep. So quitting my job to play this crazy, crazy game of Axie Infinity.
Okay. Oh, man. I mean, if as far as I'm concerned, if you can just sell one of these guys at the top here, you're basically making a median American salary. You're good.
There you go. That seems worth it. Worth the risk. All right, Nick, let's move on to what I want to share as our main topic.
Yes.
I almost said this evening. It's not this evening. It is this afternoon. Depending on when you listen to this, maybe this morning. I want to tell you a story about some people from Kansas. It's from some people that live near Potwin, Kansas. Do you know anything about Potwin, Kansas, Nick?
I didn't know it was a thing. That's a new name to me.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect. Let's do a quick Google, see what the population of Potwin, Kansas is. Population 466 people. So not super big. I live in a very small town, and even that it's less than half of where I live. So not a lot.
Yeah, that's pretty small. Pretty small.
But it is close to where I live. In fact, I've played basketball in the Potwin gym many a times as a young kid.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, that's my tie to it. It is definitely a place that I am quite familiar with. Have probably seen most of the people that live there from the basketball days. But this story is very weird, and I'm going to tell it in such a way that I don't give away exactly what's happening at first, because I just think it's very interesting. This was something that was pretty much like a pretty popular thing in the zeitgeist, like, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, I think, when this story originally broke. And somehow I completely missed it, or I just don't remember it at all. Okay. But since it's so close to home, like, I wanted to share it with you. So there were a couple that were renting a house, and it was an old farmhouse just outside of Potwin. It was like over 100 years old. And they started to have some weird things happen to them. Very weird things, actually. So I might pause a couple times throughout this to see if you feel like you understand what's happening.
As of now, no. They bought a house and yeah.
Joyce Volgeman Taylor was the owner, and she was renting out this farmhouse that had been in her family for a very long time. And the couple that lived in that, actually, no, I'm sorry. The couple that lived there legally, since they were renting, didn't get anything happening to them for any of this, but they definitely were firsthand accountants of the things that, firsthand witnesses of the things that were happening. The first thing that happened that was kind of weird in 2011, a person that was a small business owner out on the East Coast contacted her and actually got her phone number and really, really aggressively blamed her for spamming their business email to the extent that basically their business email was unusable.
Huh.
And again, you're talking about this person who very, very small town, outside that small town on a farm, like that's the property she owns, and she's getting blamed for basically spamming this guy's email. So that's pretty weird, huh?
Yeah. Just randomly rude and mean, bad. Yeah.
Yeah. So, in fact, that was just the first example, but people continue to call her and accuse her of like all kinds of terrible things. And in fact, in the summer of 2011, a sheriff came and knocked on the front door of that property and was looking for a stolen truck, which is not the sort of thing that you just randomly have happen to you.
No, not often.
Do you have, before I keep going into some of these other just wild things that happen, do you have any guess at this point what had occurred?
I assume that someone who previously lived there had done things to people like stolen a truck and.
Well, what kind of Grand Theft Auto email spammers like? What's the Venn diagram there? What type of person is doing that?
I'm totally out of touch. That's where I have nothing so far. I don't know.
The Venn diagram gets a little bit more difficult, but maybe it'll give you a little bit of a clue.
Okay.
So they would have some authorities show up occasionally looking for runaway children.
What?
Ambulances would show up, prepared to like try to save a suicidal person based on calls from other people.
What?
And basically, like this weirdness from 2011, I think it went on for a few years. Basically, FBI agents, federal marshals, IRS collectors, like there were just all assortments of people looking for people that had done bad things or were doing bad things or needed help, etc. were showing up at this person's property.
Like, I'm completely
and we're talking about the middle of nowhere, Kansas, Nick.
Yeah, so this is why so by nature of it being middle of nowhere, Kansas, I could see like a property being like a popular like that being a popular place to pretend that something is, like trying to like fraudulently put your address as something like that, because it would probably be harder to check on, like there's probably less like police resources in that kind of area, something like that. But I'm super grasping at straws to understand what is there like some in my brain. I'm like, Nick, there's no like criminal organization of like kidnappers / like suicide. So I don't understand how suicide would relate to, you know what I mean? Like I'm super grasping at straws here because I don't know what the next step would be and how that would tie them all together.
To be honest, I'm kind of proud of you. You haven't solved it, but you've almost figured it out. Like you're in the zip code.
Okay, cool.
So this would go on, obviously having FBI agents, policemen, sheriffs showing up at your door is not super ideal.
Not fun.
But then something even worse started happening. And this is, I mean, we could pause and talk about how the internet is a little bit broken in this way. But they got doxxed multiple times, which if you don't know what doxing is, it's where there's basically an angry internet mob that thinks something bad is happening to these people and they want to do them harm. And they leak a bunch of personal info, like phone numbers, addresses, emails, etc.
It could take a whole bunch of different forms, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, basically things that shouldn't be shared with an angry mob of people, especially if it's something like that in this situation. And that had, that kind of amplified the issues that they were having. The only one that I actually found funny was one time they had just an unexplained toilet left in their driveway. Like I guess if you're going to harass somebody, that's slightly better way to do it.
Yeah, like I don't want to laugh at someone, like, but that's the weirdest form of harassment I've heard. That's And it's at least it's like, okay, well, the toilet's gross, but it's not. It's
right. It's not actively threatening.
Right. Exactly. It's pretty good. Okay.
Pretty benign. Okay. So to explain this, and I think you're probably going to catch on pretty quick at this point. I need to explain who MaxMind is. Do you know the company MaxMind?
Nope.
So they are, and I'll just read off of, like, if you just Google their name, they are an industry-leading provider of IP intelligence and online fraud detection tools.
Okay.
Did you get any clues from that yet?
I mean, I assume that, MaxMind flagged that someone is using that as using their address for fraudulent stuff, but that's it.
So they do IP intelligence, and in order for their services to be effective, they have to basically map out and make that be publicly available, or you can pay for it to be available. The physical location of IP addresses, and sometimes that's relatively doable, especially if you want to talk about like getting it down to a city level or a block level. If you're far enough away from other people, that can more easily be tied to a specific address. But sometimes, Nick, you just you are able to mask these sort of things, and so not getting into a lot of the technical detail there, both because I don't want to, and also I don't know all the details of how it works. But basically, there are times where you can only say with a level of accuracy that they knew that this IP address came from the United States,
right?
And the geographic center of the United States is in Kansas. It's like 38 point something degrees north and 97 something degrees west. But like all those numbers are really hard to remember for people. So it became like really commonplace that if you just know where it came from was the United States, then you would put 38 degrees north, 97 degrees west.
Literally the most central IP that there is, and when people were creating like VPNs and false IPs for America, it's just like automatically mapping to their house. Is that what it is?
So like the actual geographic center is a couple hundred miles away, but if you round both the latitude and longitude to the nearest whole number, you get these people's front yard.
Oh my god!
And yeah.
So they were getting tracked down because, or they were getting falsely connected to crimes and crap that are committed with just a generic IP that was used in some VPN or some other tool that's giving a false IP, right?
You've solved my IP puzzle, yes. Which is wild.
Yeah,
and so like reading into this more. Apparently they weren't the only ones that had this happen to them. I guess, especially in the early days, like a decade or so ago, there were lots of people that had this sort of thing happen to them, because there are other times where you can definitely guess, or you definitely can like pin it down to a particular state or a particular city, but you can't get any more specific than that. So these people that would be like in the latitude longitude center of a city or a state, they like everybody had this. So you had like all 50 states had people that were potentially affected by this, and then like especially major cities, like if you New York, like the person that was like geographic center of New York.
Oh no!
Like yeah. So as you like that was. It was just wild. But obviously this was the biggest one because this was the geographic or the IP center, the internet center of the United States.
That's super wild. First off, you never think about how that kind of stuff can be connected. Like you never think about how I've never even considered what the geographic center of the United States is, but it makes perfect sense that would have like implications on IP addresses, especially just like generated IP addresses that don't really care about trying to be precise or anything of the sort. But two, like, dude, what a bizarre thing to have to deal with when you buy a house. You're just like, oh yeah, we just happened to get all the fraud claims because, or not fraud, we had a bunch of crimes associated with our home because, I don't know, VPNs or some crap. What the hell?
Yeah, and like how what that like led me to is like just to think about how like, and I guarantee you, like if we sat down and thought about it, there are so many unintended, very terrible, weird consequences of things from the internet that we like just would have never been able to foresee. Like this company, they obviously did not intentionally try to cause these poor people so much anxiety and stress and disruption to their daily lives, but like certain things like typing, rounding the latitude and longitude into scripts where there's IP addresses that you can't assign to more specific places, like that decision, like ruining people's lives temporarily is just wild.
It's really weird. It speaks to how like we take for granted that like a lot of the code out there in the world and like decisions making with software engineering, we take for granted that they probably just have to like eventually give in and just like make a decision. And like I can see the tools that cause that not having been done for any kind of not even being done lazily. It's just like, yeah, okay, so we're gonna just round it. Like that's the easiest, the only realistic way to do it, and we shouldn't get too precise anyways, right? So yeah, I don't know. It's really funny.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Do you want to hear how the story ended?
Yes, let me in.
Okay. So they did sue.
Yeah.
They did sue MaxMind for this. For what I consider to be a little bit of a paltry amount. Like it's $75,000 plus costs, which to have like multiple people coming to your door, like, and like just having all this stress of like figuring this out over the multiple years, like that seems like not that much. I don't know. Maybe.
No, I kind of agree.
Like that's a huge disruption to your life. I don't know. Like, and like threat, like, and like all the doxing that happened, like the internet's a crazy place. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's like a non-zero threat to your life.
Hey, good on them for not abusing the system. But like, damn, dude, I'm with you. I would assume that'd be more.
Yeah, I feel like that's the sort of thing that gets settled out of court for undisclosed amount. And honestly, maybe that's what happened. I just didn't read deep enough into it. But yeah. And then any guess on what MaxMind did to the IP address of the United States? The generic one?
I assume that they either randomized it or they chose their own location or they chose like an empty location or something to that effect.
They moved the and maybe I'll cut this into the actual episode because the source that I actually heard this from was the person who like had conversations with these people when they were like going through all this.
The founder of the company is like, oh my gosh, like I had no idea, like what should we do? And I was like, well, you might want to change it somewhere else. He got back to me and was like, hey, we moved it to a lake. Do you think that's a good solution? And I was like, when did I become the internet infrastructure?
Which is Lake Cheney, which I have also, or Cheney Lake, which I have also been to quite a lot. Nice. So I feel like I have quite the connection to the center of the internet in the United States.
Apparently. That's exactly what I was thinking is like just a generic public place that like wasn't connected to any people or any like private residents or anything like that. It makes sense. But I do like the idea of someone like super pissed at somebody that they like found out about online and they're like tracking down the IP address and they show up when they got the toilet in the back of the truck ready to frickin' leave it on some, and they just get to like a public lake. They're like, oh, God dang it. I don't think this is the right address at all.
No, probably not. There's a whole lot more. If you want to listen to a little bit more about this story and hear some other people that kind of went through this sort of thing, there is a Reply All episode of this exact thing. It's episode 53. Note from the editor, also episode 84. I was bad at Googling in the moment there, but there's also a bit of that at 25 minutes into that episode. It's super, super interesting to hear like firsthand accounts of these people's stories of people that were affected by this weird IP address rounding shenanigans that happened in the early aughts. So definitely go check that out.
Dude, this is honestly super interesting. I like it's almost anticlimactic, but it's very interesting. It's very interesting.
It's just weird. It's one of those things. It's like the answer to why things are happening being something that is just like some company, 1,000 miles away making a decision to make their lives slightly easier. like that correlation of things shouldn't be so closely tied, but it just in this case was 100% the cause. It was just very weird. Little unsettlingly so, but yeah.
Totally.
All right, Nick, we are going to go record our Patreon-only podcast the year we start another podcast. This one's going to be fun. I'm going to talk a little bit about, I think, unless Nick convinces me otherwise, I'm going to talk about just some wild TikTok things. If you want to check that out, good to me. Go to patreon.com/TaiWasap.
You can also follow us at TaiWasap on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, but not Snapchat.
Not Snapchat.
Never. Right? But you can find all that at TaiWasap.com.
Nick, thank you, sir, for potting with me on a Wednesday afternoon.
Yes, you're welcome, sir. This has been the year we started the podcast. Thank you all for listening.